good evening, everybody. I've made all these videos, the last two without my face, because on the first one, I hate that the iPhone front camera, for some reason, flips the image, and I do not like how I look in that flipped image compared to the image that I see when it's recording. And so I took those videos for the first recipe I ever made, the lobster roll one. I took those videos on Instagram from the front camera, and for some reason, when I was doing all the converting and like changing and making it into like a YouTube format, it put like this really weird filter on it, and so I did not that looked fake and it annoyed me. So now I refrained for the last two videos from like putting any talking of me on these videos, um, but I miss it. I think that the recipes, the food are all wonderful, and I love cooking and like making these things for you. And also, just I have worked at some of the best restaurants in New York, and at all of these places, you are enacting, constructing, plating someone else's vision. It's very hard at the three Michelin star level to work on your own creativity, and I think people make the mistake of thinking that creativity as a skill is innate and it's something that you just have or you don't have. I don't think that's the case at all. I think, like any skill in life, creativity is something that you have to work on. And so it's a pleasure for me to make these videos because I'm hoping that brings you guys just a little bit of happiness. But at the same time, from a selfish perspective, it allows me to work on my own expression of art. So, as much as I'm doing this for you guys, I'm also doing it for myself. This next dish um, is one that's close to my heart. It is a variation on Nali Nihari. Um, it's an Indian slow cooked dish which um, is one of the few dishes that in Indian cuisine that has made it from the households of the common person into the kitchens of the royalty. Um, and so I think that this is a quintessential Indian dish. Um, but my personal love affair with Nihari started, I think, when I was in probably middle school. My dad took my brother and I and my mom to this restaurant on Muhammad Ali Road, this road under JJ Flyover in Bombay. And the restaurant was called Shalimar, and I can picture it so vividly because it has a board that says Shalimar, and then on that board is a big plate with a knife and a fork, and it is very much like a hallmark of my childhood and upbringing in Bombay. And that was the first time I had nihari. The best nihari I've ever eaten. Um, in 2023, my dad and I spent 3 months driving across the country. Um, and the goal initially and the mission was to um, expand my horizons of Indian food in cities that I have not been, or home cooked Indian food that has not made it, into like the mainstream Indian restaurants. And on that trip, we were in Lucknow, and in Lucknow, we had this sublime nihari with something called shirmal, which is the native bread in Lucknow that they eat nihari with. And it was the best tasting Nihari I've ever had. My favorite Nihari, hands down, was actually one I ate in December of last year. And so, one of my childhood friends, one of my best friends, is this guy called Adnan. And I've eaten Nihari at Adnan's house before, home cooked. Um, but Adnan is Muslim, and Adnan's family grew up in Bombay. And I was a transplant in 2003 is when I first came to Bombay. And I kind of coerced Adnan into making a trip to Mohammed Ali Road where his family would show me their go-to spots on that road. And in December, my dad, my brother, Adnan, Adnan's dad, Adnan's brother, Adnan's uncle, and a couple of our friends went for like a food crawl um, all over Mohammed Ali Road. And we ended up at this place. I think it was called Chinese and Grill. And I think that the uniqueness and the weirdness of the name makes the experience even more special. And while we were sitting there, we ordered a Nihari. And while eating it, then Nihari was, great. No complaints whatsoever. But it was not as good as the Nihari I ate in Lucknow. But my heart was filled when I was eating this Nihari with my friends and my family. And I think unequivocally, it is the best Nihari experience I've had because it far surpassed just the dish on its own. And, at the end of the day, I think that anyone who works in food, fundamentally, if you love what you do it because you like serving others and you like the community around food. And the other day, I say the other day, but this was a couple of months ago. I've had this idea for a few months now. I was at this ramen spot in New York called Tonchin. But my favorite kind of ramen, which is tonkatsu, is a pork-based broth. And I was sitting there and I was eating it and I was tasting it and I was like, man, my best friend Adnan will never know what this tastes like. And so if I was gonna make a ramen dish for Adnan, how would I make it? And then all these memories of the Nihari I've eaten at his home, as well with him and his family at Mohammed Road, all came rushing back to me. And I was like, if the broth was not pork based and it was Nihari based, I'm sure Adnan would love this dish. And so that is the birthplace of this idea. And that is what I'm going to make for you today. And I think I'm going to do a little bit more of me talking. I'll try my best to put timestamps in the video, so if you want to skip it, you most definitely can. But at the end of the day, like, I think food just presented, through a lens, lacks a bit of soul. And I need to let you guys know why it is I'm making what I'm making. Even if it's something like casual and something that's like, off the cuff and on a whim, I want to leave a little part of myself in all these videos. I like to talk, I like to communicate, and I very much do spend time reading all the comments you guys put on these videos. And it warms my heart when I see one of these things, and I'm ecstatic to engage with you guys when you guys make these comments. And I would love to share whatever little knowledge I have about food with you. But more than that, if you guys have any suggestions, I do not see myself as this like holier than thou, be all end all, three Michelin star person who's worked for like a three Michelin star restaurant type of chef. Like, I know jack shit about food. Um, I'm trying to show you guys what little I do know, and I think that if I have some useful information, I think it's incumbent on me to make that information public. But if you are watching this video and you feel I didn't do something quite right, or in your family they do it in a different way, please, I would very much appreciate if you guys wrote to me in the comments and let me know those things. Because at the end of the day, like this channel is, yes, for me to hopefully make content and get subscribers and use this as like a avenue to make money. But I got into the cooking business because I want to make the best food I can possibly make. And so, with all that done, I apologize for the rambling. Um, Let the video begin. Okay, let's get this party started. I soaked some bone marrow and oxtail in just salted water overnight just to help draw out some of the impurities. And as you can see, it's like nice and clean, especially the bone marrow. You also end up bleaching the bones, which make it look nice. Like with all my videos, make sure if you're going to be cooking a large piece of meat to give it a strong sear. The smoke alarms are going off in my apartment, so I just roasted those ones in the bones. I cannot have any more noise complaints. Do with that information what you will. I have some onions. I've just split into two because half it's going in the Nihari and a little bit we're going to use to fry for a garnish. I have some mustard oil that I'm just letting the pan get hot enough till it starts smoking. And then I'm just going to add like a tablespoon of garlic water, which is just like garlic and water mixed and squeezed out together. And it helps open up the mustard oil and kind of remove some of the astringency. Now with the whole spices, cloves, black cardamom, bay leaves, ingwa onions. I said half earlier, but it's like I would say like 70% the no, 80% the onions we're gonna use for this, and then 20% is what's gonna be fried. Ginger garlic and some tomatoes. The tomatoes, you can use yogurt as well. I think a lot of traditional recipes use yogurt, but I just didn't want the yogurt sourness in my final like end broth. And I felt like tomatoes are a nice way to give acidity to the dish without using dairy. The powdered spices we're using are just some turmeric, coriander, and chili powder. You know how I love to make sure we roast our spices until like the fat separates. Always have water on hand in case it starts to stick to the pan. Tomatoes, meat, bone marrow, other meat, and cover with water. You're going to want to cover more than I did right now, but my water filter ran out of water, and so I was waiting for it to fill up. Next, classic topping, we're going to do some eggs. I boil them for 6 minutes at like a low simmer, and then we're going to marinate them in soy sauce and mirin. After you peel them, put them inside. You're going to have some of it peeking out because it's going to float in the water. Then just use some plastic wrap, and I am using a shot glass to help weigh it down because we're cool like that. Next, to fry the onions, I didn't have a thermometer in hand, so I just kept some of the onions in, and when I felt like they were starting to fry is when I added the rest of them. You're going to want to pull this out earlier than you think. It's a very light brown right now, but it's going to continue cooking as it sits, and it's going to get darker. If you pull it out when you think it's perfect, it's going to look burnt. And this, I think it's, I just wanted you guys to see a shot of this like Nihari boiling and how, hypnotic and just sexy it looks. The neck bones are cooked, so we're going to pull that out first. Okay, I just want to make a little quick aside before this next part of the video. I've always used like ready-made spice blends for Nihari, but the last few times I've made it, I wanted to make it with a spice blend that I've made at home. But when I was growing up, we never had Nihari at home, so I didn't have something to really fall back on, and so I was looking online for it. I have taken Ranveer Brar's Nihari spice mix recipe verbatim. Like I copy pasted that shit, so full credit goes to him. I'll put a link in the description of his video. Please do give it a watch. It's such a wonderful video, and he explains the dish even like better than me. Um, but yeah, you'll see when I show you the ingredients. These are kind of hard to get. If you cannot find them, don't worry. Just go to like your local Indian store, and then you can get um, ready-made spice blend packets. Sean is a good brand. Um, oh, sorry, and one more thing. The reason I feel that this is kind of better is that there's like a florality to this recipe. Floralness? Flower power. That is just missing in like some of the ready-made ones I've seen. So if you can, I would recommend trying to make your own. And it's fun. You're going to be cooking with stuff that you probably never have cooked with, and it's a great learning experience. It was for me. Okay, the spices. So we have mace, stone flower, black pepper, something called vetiver root. Try to find that. And I hope you guys have an easier time than me. Allspice, dried rose petals, galangal, which people think is only from Thailand, but it's native to India as well. Black cumin. This is called pipli in Hindi. I think the American name is long pepper. And some cardamom. Like always, when you're making like a spice blend, make sure you toast your spices until they're aromatic. And I have learned from my previous one to not put it straight into the NutriBullet. And also, wait for it, movie magic. If you guys are paying attention, slowly but surely, these videos are leveling up in quality and magic. Okay, so the oxtail takes longer than the neck bones, and so it's been like I think 4 hours now, and the oxtails are finally done. We're gonna pull this out, and we're gonna use the meat for another recipe. But if you guys have already paid attention, you have already seen that recipe, and so here's some Nihari Inception for you guys. Take that, Christopher Nolan. Next, I'm gonna take our spice blend with some flour and just blend it with water. And we're just gonna strain it just to prevent any lumps from forming, and then I'm gonna skim off some of this fat to save for later. And I also am going to turn up the heat a little bit, so I'm going to get this at a more rapid boil. I don't want the fat all emulsifying into the broth. Next to the toppings, I got some beef tenderloin that I just put in the freezer for an hour so it firms up a little bit. And we're going to cut it a little, as thinly as we can. Nothing does not be too crazy. But the reason we're doing this is that I want to be able to dip it inside the hot broth and have it start to cook just from being dunked in the broth. And so for that reason, it needs to be a little thin. Otherwise, it'll just be some raw beef in the center while you're eating it. Next, these scallions. So for this, you're going to have to be very delicate and just slice one end of the scallion so you can open it up and lay it flat. Here is me realizing that I slid my knife under the scallion and didn't cut it at all. But 1 second, round 2, here's another shot. I thought about including this or not including this, but I think that I want you guys to see that there is a bit of silliness in this video, and we don't take ourselves too seriously over here. But once you open it up, it just allows you to stack the scallions, and then it gives you the ability to cut them nice and thin instead of it all being like different sizes and different layers. And then we're just going to take the cut scallion, and since we're going to use it in like an hour, I'm just keeping it in some ice water so it stays nice and crisp and just gets a little extra curl. Next, for the bottoms. So we're going to make something called a tare, which is just like a flavoring tool that is used in ramen. And I have used some ginger and chili for the garnish as well. I haven't shown that being cut. But we're going to use all the trimmings from all of that to infuse into our tare. Like our egg marinade, tare is also largely just mirin and soy sauce. And so we're adding all these extra little things, some garlic, some chili, some ginger, some scallion, just to help boost the flavor. And then we're going to reduce it by half to concentrate that flavor even more. Probably the most self-explanatory part of this recipe. We're just going to cook some of these ramen noodles. Nothing specific, whatever brand you want to use that and follow the instructions. Next, assembly. Start off with some tare, a nice little spoon of that Nihari fat. Then comes the broth.
I think I need to get like a nicer tool to ladle broths inside, or maybe like a saucier type thing. Then go in your noodles. Little thin piece of ginger. I'm trying to spread them out because I don't want all of them in one place and you just get a big bite of ginger. I want it to help break up the richness and the fat of the nihari. Then some chili, our very nicely sliced tenderloin, the fried onions from before, and our little jammy egg. Ignore my knife and egg yolk on the cutting board on the left. I cropped out as much of it as I could. And scallions to finish. I actually ended up finishing this recipe at like 4 in the morning. It took a lot longer to cook than I thought. And so none of my friends were available. I tried calling. So you get to see this really mediocre shot of me from above eating this noodle. But I hope that you can see me going in back for seconds, and it wasn't just for show. This actually was really tasty, and I hope you guys will give this one a go. It was a lot of effort, but I think that it is worthwhile. And man, I think I've been stepping up my picture game as well. I think I need to get though a better platform to take pictures. There's some like splashes of like grease and stuff on the side of my stovetop that kind of want to not have in future pictures. But yeah, there's going to be another video dropping soon. Watch out.